Raquel over here. Obviously, first fight week is the reigning UFC champion. So I guess how's fight week been like this time around? Has camp has been any different? Because we always hear these former fighters say, like, the second you become champion, you just get a little better, and fight camp is a little harder. But I'm curious if it's true in your mind.
For me, I mean, I felt like my last fight camp, I truly shifted gears, and then it just turned out to be a really weird fight week. I ended up sick going into the fight, and so the game plan just kind of went out the window, and the ultimate goal was just to, it didn't matter what it looked like, just to attain the world title. And now this fight camp, this is honestly the first fight camp in a long time that I've had a lot of fun. Just kind of breaking things down differently. My mind's been in a completely different place. I feel like I've truly just stepped into my shoes and owned all the hard work I've had for the last 14 years. And the only things that I can control in a fight is myself. And so the biggest thing for me was, how am I going to beat me? And it was really fun, just dissecting myself and truly shifting gears. So yeah, it's been different.
Obviously, a lot of this buildup is, dating back to the Ultimate Fighter. I think you guys are the only two left from that season still on the roster. So I'm curious, is this personal for you, or is it just, another fight and it's just all the noise around it's just buildup?
I mean, there's a lot of noise around it. This is definitely a history fight. I feel like initially Dana thought that we would match up for the finale. She ended up winning that season. I won fight of the season, and in that fight, I ended up sustaining a broken hand, a fractured forearm, and stitches. And people just don't understand the intensity that goes into that short time frame of filming. And so it just didn't play out. I lost in the semifinals, and now here's our journeys all these years later. What I don't understand is it's a fight that I've wanted for a very long time, and it's taken 11 years to get here. But needless to say, I'm super excited for this one. And so, I mean, the animosity, is she someone who definitely gets under my skin? Absolutely. I didn't know Julianna going into the house, and then I just quickly learned her personality. And so it's just been years that I'm like, hey, let's do this.
I think you said something like you've been waiting for her to sign her name on the dotted line for a while to fight this. Have you actually been matched up? Because she was in here and she's like, I've never been offered a fight with Raquel.
No, I've asked for the fight multiple times. And whether it's true or not, I mean, people say all the things. They're like, she doesn't want to fight you. And so, I mean, we know Julianna. She's going to say 100% different. But I've asked for it for years, and somehow it's never aligned. But it is what it is.
She was also in here, and she said that she doesn't think you are a good representation of the women's bantamweight division because you don't promote it. She said something about how you turned down and betted or something like that, and she just said this. The question presented was, who wants to win this title more? And she goes, it's me, because I can promote this division and everything. So do you think that's just her talking again, or does she believe that?
We all know that Julianna has a master's degree in Yapology. All she does is talk shit. She keeps herself relevant that way. And to sit here and say, oh, I turned down and betted, how does she know anything into what I'm even doing? It's interesting, but, she just yaps and she talks. But at the end of the day, I've always been me. I stay authentic to who I am. I don't feel the need to go out there and do all the extra shit talking and whatnot. This is 14 years of hard work. I got here just staying in my lane, and you want to call me a terrible representation, I didn't see her doing any better. She, she had the biggest upset, and then she turned around and she got her ass handed to her for 5 rounds. And so where's the representation in that? But I can tell you for sure, I'm here to stay and still.
Kind of going off of that, I think if you win, you tie Amanda.
When I win.
When you win, you tie Amanda for the most wins in this division. I'm curious, did you think you would be competing this long? Because a lot of fighters, they have they go, I want to retire at 35 with all these wins. I'm curious, did you think you would reach this far in your career?
No, honestly, I mean, when I started this 14 years ago, sports medicine has changed so much. When you got to a certain point in this career, I mean, just as an athlete in general, you hit 35 and that sounds real old. And just kind of putting your body through the ringer. But like I said, I mean, sports medicine's changed so much. And honestly, I feel truly in my prime. I remember when it was okay, I'm going to fight until I'm 31, 32. And in fighting, the years go fast. You get into a fight camp, and before you know it, half of the year's gone. So yeah, no, I didn't think it was going to be this long. But, I've stuck it out. And like I said, I feel in my prime, and all the stars are aligning, and I'm super excited.
In terms of the actual fight, I think, you said you could envision this being a war. Julianna's coach said, she has the advantage in power. Julianna said that her coaches...
Pena Power?
That's what she says.
Okay.
Her coaches are going to let the dog off the chain. So I'm curious, how do you see this fight playing out as you laugh at?
At the end of the day, the way that I see it is, honestly, I mean, yeah, we're the last two from the Ultimate Fighter. We've been here for a long time, but I've been the most active. I've fought in the best of the best. I've done a bunch of things throughout my career. And just when it comes to it, I mean, she sits there, anybody sits there and they're like, oh, you don't let your hands go. Dana's been telling me for how many years now?
I think you said that on Tough, right?
On Tough, after every single fight, his exact words, let your fucking hands go. There's a reason for that. I've crossed a lot of coaches' paths. I've hit mitts with a lot of people, and they're like, dude, the power that you produce. I train with the guys because the girls, they get frustrated when I train with them, and it's not even trying to hit anybody hard. Like, I just have a snap behind me. So, like, I know I have true power, and I know that I have true skill behind me in every which way. I feel like coming off the Ultimate Fighter, I was categorized as a brawler. But I truly feel like a well-rounded mixed martial artist. I have a great jiu-jitsu game. I have a great wrestling game. My coach is always telling me, he's like, hey, like, I just want to put you in some wrestling matches. And it's like, absolutely not. He's like, you're really good at it. And so, just overall, like, her coaches can say what they want. She can say what she wants. But I feel like I'm the more polished fighter going into this.
And then last one for me. I know you're focused on Julianna, but there is a big name on the undercard in Kayla Harrison.
Yeah.
She was in here earlier, and she's said like this entire time, like when I beat Caitlin, I'll turn around and fight on 5 minutes' notice against the winner of that. And then just earlier today, she said she thinks she could beat you, Ketlin, and Julianna in a single night if asked. So do you think that's her just kind of selling future fights? Do you think that's just confidence? And as a champion, do you like hearing that, knowing like this is a possible big name opponent that you could have down?
I think she's doing exactly what she needs to. She's selling herself. She's hyping herself. She's being her biggest hype man. But at the end of the day, she needs to calm down a little bit. She's now on the biggest stage with a ton of talent. And I feel like she's truly taken away from the division with that idea. But she'll be humbled. She'll be humbled soon. And so, I think it's awesome, though. I mean, it's kind of like when Holly Holm came in. She came in with a huge hype behind her and whatnot. And I feel like Kayla is that new era of Holly Holm, bringing that hype behind her. But at the end of the day, she's just a human being. She's a female. And I feel like the world is truly underestimating Ketlin right now. I think this weekend is going to be a great fight. But, yeah, I definitely see that as a #1 contender fight.
Raquel, right over here. Was fighting in Salt Lake City a conscious decision so that you could have as much family as possible, just a state over, be able to travel for your first title defense?
No, it was offered to me, and I've never been the type of person to turn down any fight or any place, I mean, I've been all over the world with doing this and stuff, and so it just so happens that we fell into Salt Lake City. And, I mean, coming out here, I came out for a hockey game and doing some media stuff, and I didn't realize the amazing fans out here. I am so excited for the energy that's going to come with it, and it just so happens to fall close to home that, I mean, my entire family's going to be here. My family from Florida is making the trip. Tisha's family's making the trip. All our close friends. Like, man, it couldn't be any better.
You just mentioned this with Jose, and I am curious. I spoke to Phil Rowe a couple of years ago, and he mentioned having a very natural, snappy punch. And you saying snappy kind of made me think about it. Do you think that's more of a natural thing, or is that something that's built over time and something that has been kind of something that you have clawed at and worked at specifically to make sure that you do throw such specific damaging shots?
Listen, when I first started this sport, I came from basketball, volleyball, softball, gymnastics, like every other sport you can think of. I had no fighting behind me. I didn't grow up fighting. I had an annoying cousin. They call us Chip and Dale. We're 5 months apart, and he's the only one that I fought, but I don't think my technique was that great, even though I got the better hand all the time. And my first training session, we went in, we talked to the coach, and he's like, here's what this sport is, and here's practice tomorrow. So I show up, I step on the mats with socks on. He's like, no, we got to take those off. And I'm like, okay. And then he gives me some hand wraps, had no clue what I was doing. I'm like, all right, what are we doing today? And he's like, sparring. What is that? And I just got fed to the wolves, and I absolutely fell in love with it. But I think it's a technique that, like, it just came natural, just me being naturally athletic and stuff. And throughout the years, I feel like I've just definitely perfected that. I feel like I truly have one of the best jabs in the game. And so, it's just, I don't know. Some people can work on it and work on it and work on it, and they can build up to that. And sometimes there's just people that have the natural ability. Good to go. Sweet.